Hey there. So this is part 2 of my conversation with Daniel from the TV show on New Reality TV, The Past Life Regressionist. As you may remember, if you've seen part 1, Daniel and I were just having this kind of laid back, kind of slightly sassy in places kind of chat about how he got into what he does, you know, how it's changed him, what he's learnt, and so on and so forth. It's really, really candid, really open. And I guess the vibe that we've got together has just kind of kept this whole conversation going. We may well be doing some more. I'm pretty sure we will be. So hope you enjoy this as much as I did, and catch you at the end of this show. There are people, I mean, I've come across some people who are a little bit more directive, and, you know, are kind of directing systems. I've been quite fortunate to avoid any like kind of healing sessions or exploratory sessions that are very, very formulaic, you know, with like definite outcomes. I much prefer a journey for myself. And I appreciate what you're describing, because you're giving your clients I think the respect of unconditional human regard. You've got a high regard for them. You understand that they will find the tools that they need at the right time for them.
Mm-hmm.
And you trust in the process, which is really great.
Yeah. And look, I could be viewing this whole thing wrong. Let's just put it that way.
Well, we might both be wrong, mightn't we?
I mean, you're probably right.
No, I'm probably wrong. I say that all the time. I don't know. I know what I think I know, but I'm also open to realizing that I might find out tomorrow that it was all a load of rubbish. Really open to that. I find the whole thought actually quite amusing, that I could wake up one day and go, what was that about? Like, I was
just how wrong we had it. Like, I could be getting the whole Saturn and the midheaven thing wrong. Like, I'll give you an example. Even before we hopped on today, I had a call with someone who I've already done a session with before, and they wanted to do another session. And most of the themes, I guess you could say, were reoccurring from the first session. I think that there were some slight variances.
Yeah.
But I said to them, look, I think that this session can be massively beneficial for you if you do another one, but it's going to come down to you and the choices that you make after. I don't think it's going to magically turn that switch on. I think that there are things that you're going to have to confront on your own. And how I bring that up because of that responsibility component. And the way that I saw that is, I'm in a position of authority, Saturn.
Yes.
In Sagittarius, of course, the wise one. And okay, this is pedestal. Hey, go back in the corner. Go back.
You're talking to a Sagittarius North Node in Sagittarius. Stellium in Sagittarius. I'm totally fine with that.
You're like, Saturn and Sagittarius ones, you know. But
no, I'm just thinking I'd love to see our charts together and you know, like see where your Saturn is and how they're vibing with my planets and stuff.
It's in the best placement ever. Let's just put it that way. And that's my Aquarius rising speaking right now.
Okay.
Objectively speaking, the best out of the 12 rising signs. All the others come in an equal second. But yes.
To me, you sound like you should be an astrologer, actually.
Astrological ego is a real thing.
Yeah, it is, totally.
So with regards to that, responsibility component, and maybe I'm putting too much stock in it, because with the whole authority component, I look at that situation and I could say to this person, we can do that. You're going to need 6 sessions to do it.
Yeah.
And they may believe me, or because I'm in that position of authority, they would believe me. But I feel that that's wrong. Like, there's that sense of just what's right and wrong and pure morality. And I can't take advantage of this situation just to make more money. I could, but I won't.
Yeah.
And am I approaching this in a responsible way? Now, that's the way that I think that it is with regards to the responsibility and what I'm being asked to do. But maybe I got it all wrong. Maybe I'm being asked to do the exact opposite of what goes against that feeling of right and wrong. Yeah. And maybe I am being asked to capitalize on those situations more, because I also have my North Node in the 2nd house.
Yes.
So is there a certain discomfort that comes with being like, oh no, those 6 sessions will help, as opposed to me just saying, I do believe that this session will be massively beneficial for you, but it comes down to you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because the other thing that I'm risking is that person saying, well, I'm going to go to a practitioner who's more confident and who says to me, oh no, this will do it for you.
Do you know what I'm realizing? And I'm sure you are more than aware of this from your own practice, but I'm realizing there are lots of people that just want answers and they just want to be told something. They just want, they want to pay you as much as they want to pay you to hear what the next step is and to not have to go into the thinking or the working out of it. Because I couldn't quite work out why I was feeling a little, just recently, I just had this sense that I was prostituting myself a little bit, with my work. It didn't feel quite as meaningful. And I realized that when I'm working with people in terms of being on a journey with them to help them find their own answers, that's my preference because of my own preference for, sorting things out myself. And I was just attracting a lot of people that just wanted to know an answer and nothing else. And it's not as comfortable for me. But I think, we have, like in the field that you're in and me in a sort of similar or related field, I think, we're going to come across people with very different motivations for seeking help. Yeah.
So, no, I totally agree. And I could have walked away from that first session that I had. Just extremely disappointed because I did go in there believing that it was going to heal me. I did. That was the primary reason I went in there. Of course, it's at that point, since I'd been exploring it a little bit and looking into it, I did have an interest in some of these other things. But it was stated to me, this process can heal you. That wasn't what the practitioner said to me. She didn't. She did not say that. But all of the reading that I was doing before that, that's what it was telling me. So I had an expectation that was set. And that expectation wasn't met. But then as an individual, I had a choice at that point to say, okay, well, what can I do with it? And I like to think that I made the right choice there. And like, let's look at the cards that I can play. But I think expectations can be so detrimental to the process as well. And I always tell people, don't come in with any expectations because whatever you think is going to happen, it's not going to be that. You're only going to set yourself up for disappointment if you have expectations. And I agree with you. There are people who are only looking for answers. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
if that's the way that you're going about it, that's fine. I don't think it's going to get you anywhere. But then again, I could be wrong. And my experience has been, it's those who come in willing to do the hard work during the process and after, because even in a normal session, we will spend 1 to 3 hours talking beforehand, just so I can get to know your life story, because I have to understand who you are in this life in order to understand the patterns in the past. Because when it comes to that exploration, when you're telling me what you're seeing, I have to then say to myself, oh, I remember when she said this during the pre-session and this was a pattern in this life. I think we should explore this a little more. Whereas if I wasn't told about that thing, then that may completely pass me by, because how was I supposed to know if it wasn't brought up to me? So sometimes you have to be willing to bring up those things that are difficult to look at, things about yourself that, like, everyone is flawed. No one is perfect. I'm sorry. Anyone who presents himself, they're full of shit. Poo-poo, caca. Like, bleep. Okay.
That's fine. I don't have a bleep button. I think that 4-letter word will be fine.
Okay. So it's okay to bring those things up. And I may judge people outside of a session, not people look, admittedly, I walk around the world, I'm like, oh, piece of crap or whatever, like these things. But when it comes to someone in a session, I take all of my judgments off the table. There are even concepts in the spiritual world that I find to be absolutely ridiculous and absurd. But if if they bring that up in the session, no judgment whatsoever. I take any of my feelings and they go to the side, and I want to understand why they're saying this and what their motivation is. And okay, let's explore this. It could be right. And then of course I am hoping that when we get to the higher self portion, that the higher self doesn't validate it.
Yeah.
But
do you find underneath it all, like, you know, no matter what people are doing, that there's always a good intention? You know, like, because, like, for instance, like, if I compare it to my work, in the same way, you know, I feel like a bit like a centrist. You know, I'm not particularly strong in anything because I just think everything is possible. So it's very difficult to find me going one way politically or another because I just think everything is possible. And over the last 5-6 years or so, prior to this, I didn't know what anyone's religion was, what their health practices were, or what their politics were. But in the last 5 years, everyone that I work with, in particular, regular people like that I meet up with very regularly, they've all revealed all of that to me. And it would be very easy to only choose to work with people that you feel most in alignment with. But what I've actually realized is, you know, it's really easy to work with people no matter who they are, because underneath it all, when we get underneath their values and their personal belief systems, a lot of what's come up from my own experience is, you know, there's been a misunderstanding that's happened in their life. They've had a fear, they've had a shock, and that we have these, like, our mind body system is fantastic. We create security for ourselves. We create a belief based on what's happened. We create a set of behaviors because of what's happened to us. So, you know, I feel kind of privileged to work with the people that I work with because I get to see humanity from so many different levels. I'm guessing is that a similar thing for you too?
Yes. I think that, I mean, I've been, like I said, I've been shocked by some of the people, not even just friends, but some of the people who have come to me for sessions and that I never would have thought in a million years would have been open to something like this.
Yeah.
But I think what I value most about it, even aside from the past life component, is how fortunate I am to get to know people on a level that no one gets to know them. Because not only do I get to hear about this life, I also get to see what some of their past lives were and understand this person on that level too, which is not something that even like their normal therapist would get to do with them.
Yes.
And to see that there are so many different shades to people. And I don't think it's fair to paint anyone into a box. And then morality comes into the question or the equation too. You know, is there a universal standard of morality? And I ask that because of looking at certain individuals now who I would deem to be really good people.
Yeah.
And see that they did horrible things in past lives. From personal experience here, I may have committed an atrocity or two.
I'm sure I have as well.
We've all done bad things, probably. And how people are not just two-dimensional, that there is so much more to people than what you see on the surface. And you don't even need to incorporate past lives into that. Like when it comes to certain things that have happened to people, which I just would have thought would have been something that was so on the outskirts of something that people would experience. It's like I come to see that a lot of people have gone through this experience and that it's more prevalent than I would have thought. Then again, I may just be attracting those people because that's the type of person that I attract, or maybe there's something for me to look at there. Or maybe I just had it all wrong before and it was more prevalent. But you wouldn't know if you were just speaking to them at a surface level. And I just see that people are so much more complex than what's presented. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, they're not presenting maliciously. Maybe they're just not aware of it. And I think that's so beautiful. And then also that additional component, so about the things that I get to learn about myself, because that allows me to look at myself deeper. And
and that goes back to your earlier comment, that my clients are showing me what is being mirrored back to me.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Or just maybe I haven't discovered that yet. It was like, oh, that was being mirrored back to me 8 years ago, but I just wasn't ready for it yet. I was just getting a heads up.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay, right. So QHHT, I've had a session before in the past with a couple of people, and one of the things that I am aware of is that Dolores Cannon, who was she the originator of QHHT? Yeah. So I've read some of her books, and she talks about a lot of people. My awareness of it is that she came across a lot of people talking about a new world coming in, and also that she had lots of experiences with people that have come from completely different planetary systems or a different kind of experience altogether. What are your experiences from your clients in terms of that? Does that support the fact that we're coming into a time of a new reality? What are your thoughts? And I know we don't have heaps of time, unless you want to do a third episode another time where we can talk about this.
We'll see where it goes right now with it, because I'm going to give you my unfiltered thoughts on that.
Good. Good. Go on.
I don't know if we want to put a trigger warning on this. I may piss off some of the viewers right now.
Do you know what? I think everyone is mature enough to, realize it's all just information. So I might flash up a little, this is just information. If you're reacting to it, maybe there's something in there for you to consider. Maybe.
Everything you've said right now, I think, is possible.
Yeah.
When it comes to, when I mentioned earlier about my cosmology and not letting what comes out of a session shape my belief system in its totality, or that I will let any given thing affect it. A lot of that goes back to when I was absorbing a lot of the information prior to really diving into it, such as the concept of New Earth and the concept of starseeds. Now, I'm going to say right now, the concept of a starseed, that being, I think, the somewhat universally agreed definition of a starseed is someone who has come here from elsewhere and incarnated into a human body where they...
Sorry. Go on.
I was like, strumming the bass right there, like getting the moment coming in.
The tension was too much for me.
Right, the gong, yeah. That was just too perfect. So it's a soul that has come from elsewhere with an objective to help humanity ascend or rise to a new Earth, so on and so forth. When I came around to this information initially, this was around the time of my first session and when I was reading all the books, the way that I looked at it was, okay, well, a lot of this information was being obtained in the 80s and early 90s from sessions that Dolores Cannon did back then. Again, I don't want to, I'm not discounting anything right now. This is just the way that I perceived it when I was reading it. So I thought back to the way that we absorbed information at the time, which was a decade ago. I thought about the internet and how concepts like this were so out there. And those books that she was writing that were being released later on, like years down the road, late 90s, early 2000s, up until the, early 2010s, that it was easier for us to get that knowledge and that the message was spreading more because it was getting out there through means of just social media and stuff. So I guess I'm doing a bad job explaining that, but then I go back to when she was getting that information in the 80s. And I thought it's probably more difficult to obtain this information because there really wasn't the internet back then, or at least the World Wide Web. Yeah. And so how are the people going to get these concepts that are having these sessions? A couple of years later, did a bit of a deep dive into the term starseed. And I learned that it has its origins much further back, because I thought that this was just coming out that time. That was a term that Dolores Cannon discovered, and I don't know if she ever coined that or anything. I don't think she did. But this was just my perception of it and the conclusions that I jumped to all on my own. because like I always do question and scrutinize everything. I guess that's what I'm also really just trying to stress is I go through this process of, well, it's a flawed deductive reasoning. We'll put it that way. You know, A plus B, therefore it must be C. There wasn't easy access to this information at that time, that being A. This person was coming up with this information, that being B. Therefore, this information must be true because it was not easy for them to come by or accessible.
Yeah.
If you go back and look at the terms of the origin starseed, the term, it actually goes back like over 100 years. And that there were these little groups that had that same kind of premise that, you know, it's like beings coming from elsewhere, kind of an egotistic trip, I think, for those. And everything has its origins, though. And then if you kind of follow it a bit and you get to, let's just say the 1960s, when you had a bit more of the hippie movement and a lot more of the metaphysical stuff coming into the fold, and astrology was, you know, had a bit of a resurgence at the time. And it kind of went away again. But those concepts were there. It may not just have been the internet, but these things were talked about. There were still metaphysical bookstores at the time. There still were spiritual,
and secondhand bookshops,
right?
You know, where all of those things would be lurking, just there ready for you to find. And
still spiritual groups where people were probably having these conversations. You know, hey, let's have our little starseed meeting in 1977. And if you follow that progression, who are the people that are going to be having past life regressions? It's probably people
who felt like they didn't belong here and wanted to find reason.
Exactly. And then they find themselves having a past life regression in the 80s or early 90s, already having these concepts in their consciousness, I guess you could say. And then maybe there was that feeling of looking for that validation. And then it comes to the surface. But you had someone like me who didn't take those things into consideration. You know, the history of the term before it, and me thinking, oh, this must have been purely organic, because where the hell are they going to hear this thing? So it doesn't invalidate it, though. That's what I want to stress to everyone. It does not invalidate it. It could, and I believe in the concept. I believe that there are souls who have come from elsewhere to help humanity, or just because there are souls that just wanted to come here and have the experience. They're not necessarily some evolved beings. It's just, hey, 1, 2, skip a few. Let's jump around a few planets. Let's go have an experience elsewhere. I don't think everyone is just kind of confined to Earth. So that's where I lay a little more of the scrutiny on when it comes to terminology and what are the origins. This is purely coming up. Then again, it can be completely organic. Maybe those people had absolutely no knowledge of the concept beforehand. And we're just saying starseed. It could be something that was in the collective consciousness, something that is 100% authentic and is just the way of being. So, but when it comes to the new Earth, I apply the same logic there now. Could this just be an idea that is making its way around the world? And it just starts in one place, something you think is completely innocent, and then it just takes on a life of its own. And the common theme that I have seen. Now, do I believe that there's something happening here right now? Yeah, I do. Whether that's a new Earth or something else, I don't know. Now, the way that the concept has been presented, I don't fully align with, which is that there's an actual new Earth that's being prepared. I don't fully sign on to that. It could be, though, but the common theme that I have seen, this is not everyone that I've worked with who is talking about ascension. But when you look under it, it's what are you running away from? What is it you don't want to look at? And so it's easier for you just to say, I'm going through the ascension process, or, you know, I'm doing this to ascend. I'm doing, you know, it's like, what are you running from? You're here right now. And my whole other thing with the ascension thing is, look, if energy is a real thing and density is a real thing, you think you know, maybe you leave your little earth body behind, but you think your energetic body is going to weigh you down with all those emotions. You think if you run away from everything, you're just going to be magically transported to this utopia or this, as I've said before, it's you get to this, wake up one morning and you look outside, the sky is gold and it's, or Sting is out there singing Fields of Gold. You got all the animals singing
like
together, the circle of life
stuff.
and kumbaya.
Yeah.
You just you float and it's like,
yeah,
maybe, but you really think you're going to get there without doing your work now. And so that's how I would challenge everyone right now who is on board with that concept. I'm not saying it's not real, but what I am asking you is to look at yourself right now and what are you running from? What is it you don't want to look at? And it could be nothing. Maybe you worked on yourself and I'm the idiot and the schmuck who has this all wrong. Could be.
Wow, what a conversation we've had.
Really, we're gonna end it on that.
I love it. I've really enjoyed this from just so many different angles, and I think this is kind of leaving it open for another conversation if you feel like coming back again another time.
Hold on, let me think. Yeah, okay.
Okay. So just quickly, do you want to do a plug for your show? Tell me, what's going on in your show, how people can reach you if they feel inspired.
Yeah, so for my show on New Reality, it's the Past Life Regressionist. It's a show where I have people on to do past life regressions and we record them and you get to see a lot of the process. And it is in ever evolving show. So I am looking forward to seeing where my second season goes because I did a first season batch months ago and I'll be recording again later this summer. And yeah, so you can check it out on New Reality. My podcast is Timeless Spirituality. And if you want to do a session with me for past life regression, I'm not as intense as I may have been during this interview right now. I'm much more gentle.
Yeah.
And you can reach me through my website, thepastliferegressionist.com. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and reach out to me on Instagram. And I mean, if you want to do a session and so you have some questions about the process, I'm happy to hop on a call with you. Like you don't have to book a session just to ask me questions about the process. But yeah, we will hop on a quick call and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. So just if you're looking for that also, again, through Instagram, or there's a contact page on my website where you can just type out a message and we'll set something up.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Daniel. Really enjoyed it and I definitely look forward to another conversation with you real soon. Lots of love.
Thank you for having me. Lots of fun.
Lots of love to everyone. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. The last bit at the end, Daniel and I ummed and ahed about whether we're going to keep it in or not. Had a little chat around it. I have to say, the whole idea of ascension and building a new world and that there is this new reality coming in. I've been in and out of these circles for probably the last 20 years myself and have really, thought that there was a new reality right on my doorstep and felt like I was preparing myself for an ascension and also have come out of that and then sort of gone back in. I think for a lot of people that get really interested in healing work and especially sensitive people, empaths who are sensing into a new reality, I really do, like Daniel, I do think something is going on. And from my own personal experience, I understand that it can almost feel a bit pointless if you're waiting for something new to come in whilst your old pattern is playing out. And I know, I know of people, and I've been one of these people that's felt that sense of dissatisfaction from having a foot in each camp. Anyway, that's a discussion for a whole other time. And I'm sure Daniel will be very happy to talk more about it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Please do join Carl and I for another live very soon. Sending you loads of love wherever you are in the world. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.